Well, today we're going to continue with our topic on colour and tone and look at complementary colours. Often when I'm critiquing your images, I'll say to you what wonderful complementary colours you've got. And I don't know whether you're all aware of what I'm actually talking about or whether you've done it deliberately. But what I want to do today is talk about complementary colours so that when you are out and about shooting and you can see them, you'll see how they really enhance your photographs if you can use them. So what do we mean by complementary colours? Well, they're the colours that complement each other, and they're the ones on the opposite side of the colour wheel. And I'm sure at some point in your career or schooling, someone showed you a colour wheel, which is virtually just like a rainbow. And the colours that complement each other are directly opposite each other on this colour wheel. And there's a saying of opposites attracting. Well, that's exactly what happens visually to us and emotionally. Last week we talked about how colours have a narrative of their own in the way that we psychologically respond to them. And we psychologically respond to complementary colours in a positive way. They really pop from the image and really attract us into an image. When we're thinking about complementary colours, there's always they're always on the opposite side. So there's always a warm and cool option. And I'll often, when I'm critiquing your images, talk about lovely warm colours or lovely cool colours. And the cool colours are all the shades of the purples through to the darker, murkier greens and the murkier reds. And the warm colours are on the other side of this colour wheel, which are the colours of the sun. And so whenever we've got warm and cool colours in an image, it makes it aesthetically appealing. And the other thing is with cool colours is they tend to recede in the image and go into the background, whereas warm colours come forward. And that's why I'm always reminding you that if you've got a red or a yellow in your image, make sure they're the subject that you want the viewer to be looking at. Because when we say they come forward, we mean they pop in the image so that it's the first thing that the viewer looks at. But we should be using that in our composition to understand the visual path that viewer will go through. So this is just a bit of colour theory that you probably learned in primary school about primary colours being blue, red and yellow. Well, the complementary colours to those are the secondary colours, the colours that are a result of you mixing those primary colours. And so we're going to have a look at what I mean by that. And the three primary colours, the red, blue and yellow, are along the top there. And their complementary colours, the ones that are on the opposite side of the colour wheel, are a result of mixing the two other primary colours. So it's really good if you can try and remember what these complementary colours are, because if you've got them in your image, it makes your image so much aesthetically stronger because of what they're, the way that they attract your eye. Now we have to be quite careful in using these primary colours, because if you can have a look at, if we just had a photograph that had equal, if this was a photograph, we'd go, oh, that's just so strong and confronting. And that's what happens when we use them in equal strengths and with equal sort of footprint. They aren't visually attractive. What we've got to do is use them with varying strengths. So make one more dominant than the other. And that dominance may be in its footprint size or in its colour strength. But as soon as we have an image that has as major part of the composition of the image these complementary colours, and one of them is more dominant than the other, we immediately start to have a very aesthetically pleasing image. And so if we're just looking at red and green, I've just picked out, these are just images that I've had in my catalogue where those two colours are the predominant colours, and just alone they make quite an attractive image. Blue and orange is quite a common one, and we often see it in landscapes because we tend to have the orange in the sky and also the blue in the sky. And it's something that if we can see when we're walking around, we'll immediately know that will make an aesthetically pleasing image. In nature, it's unusual in plants to have that combination, but when we do, we know it is incredibly strong. And I love the Strzelecea because it does combine that blue and orange. Yellow and purple, this is the school colours of the parade secondary school. And I always found it very confronting, that purple blazer with the yellow logo. But they obviously recognise this combination of colours as being incredibly striking. And when you see it, you know that it's very, very striking. And all of these are natural colours within these photographs that I was taking. I forget what the purple background was for the lily, but it was there, and as soon as I saw the yellow lily against it, I took the photo. So the question for you guys is, all right, well, you're telling me that if I've got these two colours in my photographs, it'll be aesthetically pleasing, but how do I get them in my photographs? Well, we're often not reactive to our photography. We're actually proactive in creating scenes that we will photograph. And it's whenever you have an opportunity to create a scene, think about what colours will work in that scene. And so in the case last week when we were doing the flash photography with Jenny and Sue, we just needed a scene to do a still life photography because Jenny wanted to know how she would use flash in a scene like this. And so this is a scene I put together where I used the blue and the orange props, knowing that they will work together. And also when you think about this is on the rule of thirds, so popping those oranges on the rule of thirds. But when these ones below were from food photography that I did with the age, and knowing to put the blues and reds or blues and oranges together as props and colours that complement each other, as well as the food, just ensuring that the colour scheme of the image is aesthetically pleasing. With our landscapes, when you're framing up for a landscape, think about the balance of the different colours that you'll be including within the frame. So when you're framing it, think about what's the dominant colour in terms of orange and blue, and make sure that they've got, one's got a dominant footprint compared to the others. It makes it so much more aesthetically pleasing. But frequently in landscapes, we see this opportunity to photograph these two colours together. It's just street scenes. When we were in at the fire station, I went outside and there was this puddle, and the puddle was reflecting both the sky, which was blue, and also the tower within the fire station. And immediately, if you know that these two colours will work really well together in an image, then frame it up to get one dominant and one less so. The Auburn Village one was when we were in Glenferrie Road. Seeing the purple flowers pop against those yellow flowers, it really makes you look at that colour scheme. It's very aesthetically pleasing. And the other one was when we were doing the arcades, just looking up and seeing the blue sky, but the tungsten lights giving us a yellow-orange colour. Frame it up so that you get one dominant and one less so. And just having those two colours in the image will make them very visually pleasing. We can also do it when we're doing portraits. One in suggesting the colours that people will wear to the portrait, and the other is what sort of props you're going to be using within those portraits. So thinking about using your knowledge of colour to add as an extra tool in your toolkit to make something look aesthetically pleasing. You know, when we're taking portraits, we're trying to make the people look aesthetically pleasing, but the scene has to be aesthetically pleasing as well. And that's really thinking proactively about what they're going to wear, what the background will look like, and what props you'll actually bring to it. So your job this week is to just think about those opportunities when you're out there shooting. Have your camera goggles on so you actually see colour, and add it into the tool that I gave you last week about colour giving us a narrative about the era of the image that we're taking, and also giving us a narrative that will convey a feeling or an emotion to us. And this week I'm thinking about colour that will give an aesthetically pleasing image for us. So that's your homework for next week, and thank you for today.